Difficult to get started. And then finally when I did, I used charcoal. I saw no reason for color. It wasn't a happy situation. And this is what I saw of what happened in Budapest in 1944 when Hitler sent Eichmann back, and he was afraid that the Russians would free all the Hungarian Jews. And instead of allowing something like that, he sent Adolf Eichmann back to Budapest, and he said, get rid of the Hungarian Jews. And between April of 44 and November of 44, they took 440,000 Jews from Hungary to be exterminated in Buchenwald and all the other concentration camps. My father was one of those who was scooped up in October of 44 in Budapest and never to be seen again. My mother and I managed to survive somehow, but the rest of the family was all lost in the war. So, we managed to survive. We were around for the Russians to free Hungary, so we had the pleasure of living under communism for the next 11, 12 years. And in 1956, my family and I escaped from Hungary and through Austria, wound up in early 57 in the United States. Ellis Island, Statue of Liberty, all the things that everybody was looking forward to. And this is where I made my life.
In South Florida?
Well, no, we just retired to South Florida. We lived in New York and in Maryland, and then we just came down a year and a half to go to South Florida and enjoy the good life.
How did Hungary fall under Nazi control?
Hungary was a partner of the Nazis in the war. They took the wrong side one more time, and to show the stupidity of the whole thing, Hungary was not a power or major military power, but by aligning himself with the Germans, who were gobbling up country after country, every time the country occupied, the Hungarians got a piece of the land. So everything was doing great. Hungarian soldiers went to war, and then when Stalingrad stopped the Nazis, the first thing the Russians did, they were coming through where the Hungarian troops were. After that, Hungary was lost, occupied by communists. But it was an alliance that Hungary made with Germany in the beginning, to be part of that alliance, be part of that axis. That's correct.
Did you live in a slave labor camp?
No, we did not. I lived in Budapest, but we lived in the ghetto until we were liberated. My stepfather went to a labor camp. He managed to come home. Interestingly, both my sets of grandparents, the grandfathers went to labor camps. They both came home alive. Grandparents survived. My father died. My aunt died. The rest of the family. People who were strong managed to survive the slave labor camps and allowed them to return home, which was very fortunate, very fortunate.
What about what we're seeing today in the politics of the world catch your worry?
Well, there is things to be worried about. With anti-Semitism on the on the rise everywhere, with people having this anti-immigrant attitude in a lot of places, instead of joining together and doing something constructive, all they do is bicker. The bickering and the bickering, and the expansion of the military bases, and it's just like eliminating the middle class in countries. There's no logical explanation what I think is happening in the world. It's really a crazy system. And I'll give you an interesting story. When the attack in the Pittsburgh synagogue happened, my daughter called me from Israel to find out, Mom and Dad, are you all right? And my granddaughter in Israel said to my daughter, I'm so worried about Grandma and Grandpa and the rest of the family in America. What's going to happen to them? That is such a turnaround from the way we used to feel that we always worry about the kids going to Israel. But what happens there? Now they're worried about us in this crazy country with all the violence. What are we going to do? What are we going to do?
The concept of Zionism was strong for the Europeans to go and to be able to live in a sanctuary then.
True.
What's happened to the term, the concept of Zionism in our day now?
Well, I don't think that you don't have the same feeling in a lot of these countries that you had right after the war, or in the late 30s when people were going to Israel. You know, they were young and energetic, and they wanted to go and build a new country, and they were willing to fight for it.
And they had nowhere to go. They left the DP camps.
Nowhere to go, you know, which was really interesting. Today it's different. It's very different. First of all, you have less Jews. Let's start with that, okay? Unfortunately. And a lot of older Jews, and the younger generation hasn't caught up yet, I don't believe. But there is hope. You know, there's always hope.
What about the anti-Semitism in the news lately? Does it concern you, the anti-Semitism, for instance, among the Muslim members of the Democrat Congress?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, sometimes you say the youth is wasted on the young. No matter how smart you are, sometimes your mouth gets in the way. And she may not have expressed herself properly. I'm not quite sure I would buy into this. She's an anti-Semitic person. She has her own ideas, obviously. But you need to sometimes take a step back. You know the old saying, engage brain before putting foot in the mouth.
Engage
brain before putting your foot in your mouth. You know, I have all the cliches for you. But that's what they have to. She's young. They're both young. God bless them. I hope they succeed. It's going to make life a lot easier, everybody.
But if they have a different agenda about Jews and Israel...
Do they have a different agenda? I don't know. I haven't heard their agenda yet, these young people.
They aren't just young people, they're young Muslims. And with an orientation, one is a Somalian, which is a very anti-Semitic country in Africa.
Well, you're talking about the two congresswomen. Can I tell you honestly that I don't know either one of them well enough? What I hear is only what I hear. I can't fabricate anything. You know, it would certainly make a big difference because I think first impressions are very important. If I could have a face-to-face with a person for an hour and say, why do you hate me? And I don't have a problem asking the question. You know, something, aren't you fortunate to be in this country? How do you think that happened that you came to this country? How many people do you think died so you'd be able to come to this country? And where do you think all the help is coming from? Think.
I mean, the help is coming from America.
To get you into this country, get your family here. You know, we were here for you. And I consider myself an American after all these years. And I think immigration is very important for this country because there's so much talent that comes in. I wish them well, the new congresswomen. I really do. Hope to meet up with them one day. We'll see that too. Listen, I'm forever hopeful. After all these years, after all these things, you know, living in peace. But, as they said in there, you know, I'm writing my memoirs, and I'm doing it so my children and grandchildren have something to remember what it was like. Only for that reason. So, hopefully this year it will be finished, and you gotta remember, you can't forget.
Is this the only drawing that you've made, or do you make...
The only thing I ever made.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Did you take art classes?
I have taken art classes, and I took a break now while I'm finishing my book, you know, from painting, and I'm going to go back and do more art later on. But yes, this is a one-off.